Welcome back to the I Jupiter podcast. I'm your host, Tom Franklin, and today we have on Ross. Ross contacted me through Messenger. He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm running into some weird stuff, and I think it's a state park, if I'm not mistaken." Yeah, so if you keep finding yourself coming back to the I Jupiter, do me a favor and go ahead and hit the like and subscribe, bell notification. That way you get all the updates. Leave me a comment, all that good stuff. That way it helps me out a little bit. You can also find me on Rumble. You can also find me on Spotify. And if you'd like to somehow support the podcast and you don't know how, there is a PayPal link in the description. So I guess that's all the housekeeping. Oh, yeah. So every Wednesday, I'll be dropping a new episode of the live. You can go ahead and come on and, have some questions ready or, come and check us out. It's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And the regular podcast, this one that you're watching, comes out every Friday at 3:30 p.m. So without further ado, let's welcome to the I Jupiter podcast, Ross.
What's going on, man?
Hey, thanks for coming on, dude.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you contacted me over Messenger. You said you've been kind of following me for a little while on the podcast, and you found me through Messenger and sent me, hey man, I got that story for you. I was like, okay, and here you are.
Yeah, I mean, hey, shout out Paranormal Roundtable, number one, Josh Turner. All the folks over there. Yeah, man. I talked to you on there on the Paranormal Potluck and was like, dude, this guy is cool. Let me check out his channel. But I'd already heard of you with you and Rye's channel that you guys used to do. It's escaping me right now.
Lost Frequency.
Lost Frequency. Yep. And then you guys, I guess, branched off, but that was after I found out about you guys. So it was like, cool, let me binge all the Lost Frequency and now see where they went as they split and kind of binge that. So yeah, man, I like your work a lot. Your energy. I mean, this field is yeah, man, for sure. This field is full of a lot of people trying to share truth, trying not to share truth. I don't know. This is just my truth, though. I've got a couple notes written down.
That's all we're at.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's
okay. All right, man. So tell the eye a little bit about yourself and like where we can find you. If you're promoting any gigs or if you're promoting anything, go ahead and let's knock that out of the way first. Who are you, dude?
Man.
Let's get into it.
For sure. I'm a musician out of Ohio. I've been into this field. Honestly, what got me into it, man, I've been following cryptids and just doing research on really truths in general, but really following down the cryptid path in the past like 2 years. Really, the missing 411 thing threw me down the path. I had someone tell me about that. And I'm like, man, this isn't real. Wow. Already knowing about kind of other conspiracies that we have going on in our world, but I'm hearing about this and I'm like, man, there's no way our state parks are potential containment zones or and so yeah, a little bit about myself. I mean, I got into it off of that. I'm an outdoorsy person. I like to go hiking. I live out here in Ohio, Cincinnati area. Not too much more about me I want to share in that sense.
If you have a Facebook page or a musician page that people can come to, that way they can see what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Ras, Ras Javier with the J on Facebook. I'm a musician out here in Ohio, so if you guys want to follow, I put original music up there every now and then. I do videos, band gigs, that kind of thing. Not so much cryptid stuff. Every now and then I post a few, interesting blurbs, but yeah, if anybody wants to add me or follow me or has any follow-up questions even after this episode, my name is Ras, Ras Javier, Javier on Facebook. If you're into reggae, if you're into music, that kind of thing too, check out my page.
Yeah, I'm a metalhead. We'll get there somehow. You guys like to put the snare on the one, but it's okay. That always threw me off. I come from the world of rock and metal, so I was like, why is the snare on the one?
Yeah. No, it's dude, I'm telling you, trying to hire a rock and roll drummer to cover like a reggae gig, it's like, hey, bruh, that we're like 4 on the floor. Do you know how to do a 1 drop? Yeah, I know how. And they come with just straight on hardcore, straight ahead rock and roll. And it's like, I
Yeah,
asked
you
you
have
ahead of time if you know.
do your research, man. Do you understand what a drop is? Do you understand what he's talking about? Because if you were to tell me that, I would have no idea. I'd be like, Ross, I can't help you, but if you could send me a couple videos. So you contacted me and said I got to tell you a story. Let's go ahead and start however it is that you want to start, and let's get into it, dude.
All right, so I want to preface this by saying to the audience out there that I am not trying to say that there is any missing 411 things going on. Man, people are such skeptics nowadays. Everybody's got to see it to believe it, right? I'm not saying that there's anything 411 going on. I'm not saying there's anything like that. This is simply my truth and what I have experienced at the state park. And it just so happens that our state parks in the United States are full of crazy missing people, all this crazy stuff going on, right? There's alleged rituals going on in the woods. So I don't know what's going on in this particular sect of woods. But all right, so let me get into this story. So I'm married. Last year, my wife and I were on a bit of a separation. We were not a bit of, we were separated. I ended up running into a friend of mine. We ended up dating for a little while. She was really into fishing. Okay. So this particular park, I'll give a location. I'm not going to give the name, but I'm going to give, it's in Dayton, Ohio. It's on the outskirts of Dayton, Ohio. This state park is. So anyway, separated, met this girl. Me and her started whatever, talking. I'm separated. She's into fishing. I've been wanting to learn how to fish. We go out to the state park and she's teaching me how to fish, and we're out there. It's in early spring. The foliage isn't very thick yet, if you know what I mean. I mean, you can only see, you can see probably 2 feet into the woods with foliage, and the rest is just bare whatever, right? Bare brushes. So it's pretty good visibility. Early spring, we're fishing out here, and as we're fishing, we hear this rustle in the woods. Now, I don't know about the rest of the audience, but when I'm out in state parks, when I'm out in the forest, dude, I'm carrying. Okay, I'm carrying.
Okay.
And so I wasn't worried about it. Okay, I heard this rustle. It was probably 50 yards behind us, and there was like a big bush behind us. There's a lake where we're fishing at, a big bush behind us, and then it leads into thicker woods and like trails, kind of, sort of. So I hear this rustle. I turn, I look. I'm not thinking anything of it, but dude, this rustle was like, okay, so we're all humans. We can judge the rustle of a sparrow in a bush versus the rustle of like a dog, like a pit bull sized dog, right?
Yeah,
and vice versa. You can hear size differences in the rustle. This was a rustle of like a big animal. This bush, it wasn't small, but it wasn't huge. Something would have been crouching down, but something big could have been behind there. So we hear it. I don't think anything of it. We keep fishing. I don't want to scare the girl. I don't want to tell her I'm into cryptids and Bigfoot and all that stuff and seem like a, you know, how
definitely not the
people are,
moment
man.
to be doing that.
It's not.
Definitely not the moment to be doing it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't say anything. About 20 minutes later, we hear it again. And she says something to me this time. And she kind of has a scared look on her face. And I'm like, oh, now, mind you, dude, I listen to all these podcasts. I know what's going on in the woods, what they say is going on, right? My mind's already going there, right? My mind is already going there, but I'm not saying anything to her. I don't want to scare her. She looks at me and I'm like, oh, it's probably just a raccoon. She was like, dude, that was way too big to be a raccoon. Nah, it was just a raccoon. It was just a raccoon. Wow. So now we continue fishing. It's getting darker and darker. You know what? In spring, it gets dark around 7. I'm in Ohio. So it's dark around 7 or so. So it's starting to get kind of dusky. We hear it a third time. Now, this time it makes both of us jump. Okay. First time I heard it, she didn't really notice it. Second time I heard it, I tried to play it off. This time we both hear it and it makes us both jump. And we both turned our heads at the same time. Again, though, I'm carrying and I played it off. It sounded like a big dog, like a pit or something huge, dude, was like moving the bush. So that's experience number 1. I'm telling a bandmate about this experience. You know, he lives up in this area. And so I'm like, man, we ain't going up here. He's into cryptids. He has an abduction story himself. So I'm like, have you ever had anything weird? Yes,
well,
yes.
Tell him to contact me, dude. Tell him to contact me.
I will. I'll have him reach out to you, man. Yeah, it's interesting, man. It's very interesting. It's compelling. So I tell him about this experience. He lives near here, probably 8-9 miles away. He's like, oh, I go there all the time. He's like, you ever heard of Dogman Encounter Radio? And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of it, man. Yeah, freaking Vic. Okay, yeah, I've heard of it. And he's like, man, there's a story about this state park right where you were at on Dogman Encounters Radio. And I'm like, of a dogman? He's like, yeah. They saw it down by the youth fishing pond, and this is this. I wish I had the episode number. I tried to get it to be a reference so that your audience. So when you post this on your page, I'll find it and I'll post it in the comments and I'll reference it.
Or you can just give me the link later and I can put it in the thing. That way it's in the bottom and I have it. That's perfect.
For sure. Yeah, I'll try to find it when we get done. So he told me about this, and I'm just like, bro, like I just had a weird experience out there. Then he goes on to tell me, he's like, back in the 80s, that there's a high school around this area. He's like, back in the 80s, man, there was a legend of the werewolf of blank road. I don't want to say the location. I don't want people blowing up my
that's
spot.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So he goes, there's also a legend of the werewolf of blank road. And I'm like, dude, you're messing with me. He's like, nah, man, back in the 80s, a ton of high school kids claim they saw it. It's down this road, which is the same state park you were at, but it's on the backside of it in the hunting area. And I'm like, okay. Let me see if I can get this chick to come on out here to this back part with me. Silly, crazy me, right? So I asked her if she knew about that area, and she told me she did. She was like, yeah, I go there hiking with my kids all the time. She is not into these cryptids. I kind of vaguely brought up Bigfoot, and she was kind of like, yeah, whatever, big ape in the woods, right? So didn't really push it from there. So now her and I go to these woods where it's the back part of it where he was telling me this road is at, where this local legend, they claim they saw a werewolf on it, right? Didn't tell her any of this. So we're going up there one day just to hike, walk around, whatever. And we start walking. And she goes, hey, right around this area, I took my daughter. Her daughter's 9, or was 9 at the time. She goes, I took my daughter, and we get to the specific spot in the woods. She goes, I took my daughter out here, and right before we got to this specific spot, she's like, my daughter got really scared and said, Mommy, I want to go back. 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 And I'm like, why did she get scared? What did you guys see? I'm thinking she's going to tell me she saw like a Bigfoot or something, right? She's like, we didn't see anything, but there was a weird feel in the air, and she just got scared and wanted to go back. I'm like, well, that's interesting. Like, kids' pineal glands are open.
Right. Dude, now you're talking.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get to that in another podcast. That's a good one.
Yeah. We got to dive into that. So that's immediately where my mind went. I'm like, her 9-year-old saw it. That's not 12. That's not 11. Old enough to be super indoctrinated by you get what I'm saying. So I'm like,
with you.
Interesting. So her and I kept walking, and we smelled this really weird smell, dude. Like, as we're walking past this specific spot where her daughter got scared. Now, we didn't feel anything there that day. Didn't see anything. Didn't hear anything. The woods were silent, though. And I made that a point to tell her. Yes. And I made that a point. I was like, you notice that. Okay, let me break this down real quick. Let me backtrack for a second. ADD brain, right? You've got this road. You've got the hunting area on the right side of the road. You've got a non-hunting area on the left side of the road. Where the pond is and the lakes, the man-made lakes that we were fishing, it's off of like the left side of the road. If you were to walk like another 2 miles. So we drove all the way around. Yep, we drove all the way around the park to the back part of the hunting area. And then you park in the hunting area, but you have the option to walk towards the lake. Again, it's like a 2-mile hike through the non-hunting area, or you can walk into the hunting area, deeper into the state park. We walked into the hunting area, which is where she saw this. So where her daughter claims got scared and where we smelled this smell. There were birds chirping in the non-hunting area of the park across the street. I mean, it's literally a 1-lane road. And if someone's coming down this road,
like a boundary, you're saying, this side you could hear and this side nothing.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I mean, I'm talking maybe 0.4 miles into the woods, we could still hear birds chirping from the other side, but you couldn't hear anything inside. And again, I listen to these podcasts. I'm not trying to have pareidolia or nothing like that. I'm very level-headed. I'd like to say. But yeah, that was something that stuck out to me. And then we smelled this smell, and it was like a sweet manure smell. And this is Ashley telling me about her daughter's experience, right? It's a sweet manure smell. You hear sometimes about the sulfuric smell related to demons. Right. You hear about this. It wasn't sulfuric. It was like a sweet manure. There are no farms nearby, and there was no breeze that day. And I kept pointing that out. I'm like, where's this smell coming from? Sorry, a car just honked. So there's no trees, there's no farms nearby, and there's no breeze. This is a calm spring day. I don't know where this smell is coming from. It's real strange. Okay, this is encounter 3. We finished our hike, uneventful, still pretty quiet, dude. I mean, the whole hike was quiet. We leave out. The 4th time I went out there, and I'll send you these too. So now I'm really intrigued because it got quiet. I smelled a weird smell. Her daughter had that incident. I heard the Dogman Encounter radio episode, and my buddy told me about the local legend. So now I'm like, dude, I'm about to go out there strapped by myself. I'm about to see what's up. So maybe 2 weeks later, a month later, a week and I don't know, a few weeks later, this was last year in the spring, a few weeks later, we'll say, I went out there after a rainfall because I had the idea that if there is something out here, I should be able to see tracks better. I'm not a tracker, dude. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not. And so I'm like, with the rainfall, I should be able to see tracks better. I go out there. Nothing eventful happens. I mean, nothing, I don't see anything. And I get to the specific spot, though. And, dude, at this same spot where her daughter was saying she got scared at, there's I'll send it to you. I don't want to put in anyone's head what it was, but to me, it looks like a 3-toed, almost amphibious track. There's 2 of them.
Shit. Oh,
yeah, bro.
Because my buddy Harley Owens is over in Eastern Tennessee, and he sent me a track. And my buddy Daryl Denton, who will be coming on Wednesday, he sent it to him, and he said it's reptilian. So if you've seen something like that, that's a new development going on. Interesting. So now you are friends with the folks at PRT, right? Yes.
When this happened, I posted this in, I don't know if I posted in Paranormal Roundtables group, but I posted in a few, I'm in a bunch of cryptid groups. I posted in a few. A bunch of people were like, that's a black bear track. Dude, I'm from Wisconsin. I've seen black bear in the woods. I moved to Ohio a few years ago. I know that's not a black bear track. Black bears to me, it's not black bear. I sent it to Jody Cook, and I sent it to Tony over at PRT because Josh is such a busy man, dude. Yes. Anyway, I sent it to Tony and Josh and Jody, and I asked them both because Jody Cook is out of my area. He's Cincinnati investigation. He's Ohio.
And Jody, he works on the program with them, or I don't know everybody over there quite yet.
No, Jody Cook. So my bad. Jody Cook used to, I believe, work with check him out, bro. He used to work with the NADP, I think, with Nick Valente. But Jody Cook's a big investigator out here in Ohio. I mean, he's got a lot. He used to be a former police officer. I want to say he's done work with Linda Godfrey, but I know he's been investigating this cryptid. I'll put you in touch with him, bro. I'll put you in touch with him because Josh knows him, and that's how I found out about him. He's in my area, and I think he used to run the NADP, but it was, they have regions, certain regions for North American Dogman Project. He used to run the region that was my area. So anyway, I say all that to say Jody fields a lot of reports, so I figured he'd be someone who, if he would have seen this before, right? So I sent it to him, and he mentioned, I've heard of 3-toed tracks showing up in Ohio, in your area and up north by Cleveland. Tony over at PRT has mentioned getting 3-toed tracks out of the Midwest. I don't think it was Ohio. So I'm not sure what it is, but it's not something that I'm hearing talked about a lot. I'll send you pictures to post. Whenever. So I find these tracks and I'm like, all right, dude, now I'm super intrigued. Like I got to go back at nighttime because this was like
Oh my god!
4 o'clock.
You may not be a tracker, but you
What'd
definitely
you say?
got a set of balls on you. That's for sure. Because there's no way I'm going out there with you, dude. Ain't happening.
I, man, now, well, we'll get to that. Now, there's
I'm
no way
sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
going out alone.
All right, good.
There's no way I'm going out now, but we'll get to that in a second. This was before any of this has happened.
Okay.
So I decided to go out there alone, right? And like I said, I carry when I'm in the woods. So this particular day I go out, I think I got out there right before it started getting dark. So about 7-ish. And my plan was to stay in there till it got dark, like nightfall, like 10 o'clock, and then head out and hang out near that area, see what I could see. Dude, I am a believer and I believe these things are not, they're not like, it's not a big ape running around. I don't believe that dogmen are, you get what I'm saying? I believe there's a metaphysical side to it.
Oh yeah. There's a little bit of both. There's a little bit of both. There's a little bit of both. I mean, my opinion.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of both. It kind of walks between both worlds, if you ask me.
I agree. And now I have them in that category, but I also, in my mind, believe that the government is dealing with another specific, right? And that there's two different groups running around out here.
Okay. All right, let's get into that just a little bit. So you can delve into it. What do you believe? So you're saying there's like a government program in which they're, like hybridizing dogs and something else, and the other one is more of like a interdimensional natural type situation. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's what I believe. I believe that our government or the world's governments are responsible in having a hand in some of these. I believe that these things have already been here and are coming from inner Earth.
Okay.
And then I also believe that another portion of these experiences is actual people doing magic in the woods or people who are shape-shifting. That's my belief,
That one I haven't quite pondered yet. That's interesting. Shape-shifting in the woods, because we know that shapeshifters exist, especially the reptilian ones, for sure.
Yes. But with these tracks, though, I'm not sure what to make of any of it. So I find the tracks. I decide I'm going to go back at nighttime, right? And so I conjured this plan. I'm like, man, I don't want to get eaten by something, right? So I'm like, to make myself feel better, I'm going to bring my 12 gauge with me. I'm going to have my 9mm with me. So, dude, I was strapped to the T. Like, I had tons of ammo for the 12. I had tons of, So, and again, that's not doing anything against something that's metaphysical, but it made me feel better as a human.
Right.
And I
understand.
I got you. It's just peace of mind. I get it's not going to do anything, but it gave me peace of mind and the confidence to walk in there at nighttime, which was cool. So I go in there at nighttime, and again, I'm listening. I'm walking every 10 feet, and I'm stopping and I'm listening, not hearing anything. Okay, and I'm walking pretty far in there. As I'm coming back out, I get right near that spot, the same spot where I found the tracks. The same spot where her daughter, and I'm not planning to have something weird happen near this spot, but I get near this spot, and something in my mind, it's like your gut telling you. If this is, I'm not saying this was mind speak. I don't know. I don't think it was. I don't know how to differentiate though, really. But I mean, I know what my thoughts sound like and what I think, but it could have been my thought. So I'm not saying this is mind speak, but what I heard in my head, it could have been my gut, and I think it was more my gut, was if you want to find out what's making all these people disappear, walk further. And I was like, in my head, that's what I hear in my head. So, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, bruh, I got a 12 gauge, I got a 9. I'm good, dude. I'm about to go. I'll take anything out. I took about 3 more steps, and it was like 4 feet in front of me, I could feel like a wall, like not a physical wall, but it was dark in the woods, but it was like a wall of energy. And it was like, cross this threshold and you're going to figure out what's going on. I didn't cross that threshold. I stood there for a minute and I was like, dude, I got guns, man. Like, I can do this. It's okay. And then I'm like, nah, nope. I'm going with my gut. So I started leaving out. Dude, unfortunately, I've been in a shootout before in like the city streets here in Ohio. The fear, I've been robbed at gunpoint. I've been a couple times. The fear I felt, I've been shot. The fear I felt, like leaving out of these woods, dude, I would have taken all those situations 10 times over. I was leaving out with the 12 gauge circling, like doing 360s, walking super, like as I would walk, and I would walk and stop and spin. I'm spinning. I'm literally 360ing like a top, walking backwards
like
out of the woods.
Resident Evil shit or something, like some Resident Evil stuff.
Man, yes, something had me terrified. It was like a palpable fear in the air. So as I'm doing that, as I walk and I stop, I can hear something like, you walk and something else is pacing you, but they doesn't know you're going to stop. So it's misstepping by one step. So as I stop, I hear, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's pacing you.
Something was trailing me, but so there's like the main trail that I was on, and off to the left, there's a row of pine trees. And so as I was leaving out, the pine trees are probably 40 to 50 yards off to the side of the trail, off trail. And it was something coming from those pine trails trailing me. And so I get almost to the threshold that night, getting ready to leave out. And I mean, I'm terrified, dude. I'm ready to run, but I don't want to like trigger,
right.
Predator response.
The predator response, yes.
Yeah. So I'm just like circling and power walking. So right when I get to the threshold, there's stairs to get down out to the parking lot where my car was parked. And I felt a branch come down and hit me over my shoulder. Now, in my head, in the moment, I'm like, bro, a branch just fell off of a tree as I was walking. But the more I replayed that moment and encounter in my head, it didn't come straight down like it was falling off of a tree, right? It came like beelined at me.
Okay.
But it was like a little, like, when I say a branch, I mean like a little, like a twig, like a little, whatever of a branch. Not enough to hurt me, but enough for, again,
to feel it. Yeah.
This doesn't even feel real. It doesn't even feel like this really happened. I feel like a nut coming on and talking about this, but this happened. So I leave out the woods and I'm just like, I'm chewing on this for a few days. I'm like, dude, what happened? Like, that is so weird. So I go back and I take a friend this time. I take the friend who told me about the local legend. He lives near there. I took him with me. This was in the daytime. He's not into guns, so he was like, oh, we don't need them. We'll be fine. It's good. Let's just go walk around and have a nature walk. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. Mine's with me, right? So we're in there, and he already knew of the legends. He's into the cryptid phenomenon. Like I said, he has an abduction story. And so he has an EMF reader on his phone, an EMF reader app on his phone. My bad. Now, audience, I get it, because they're going to come at me. I get it's not accurate. I get it's not testing the true EMF. I get it. But it still provides some type of, it still gives you some type of an idea. Yes, I get it's not accurate. I'm not saying it's the Holy Grail. It's an app on its cell phone. Before we got into the woods, he pointed it at my phone. Okay, so we got our reading. I don't remember what it was, not important. He pointed it at the power lines that were running along the side of the road by the parking lot. We got a reading there. We started walking into the woods. Periodically, I mean, he's walking and stopping. We're both doing that and listening, seeing what's going on and whatnot.
Is this also at night?
This is probably like 5 in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, 4:35 in the afternoon. It's still
Okay.
daylight. It's still daylight. So, and I didn't tell him about this nighttime experience. I didn't tell him about the tracks. I didn't tell him about the girl's daughter.
Oh, you're a good friend. All right.
Hey, I mean, he already knew about the legend. So, but I wanted to see if, and what I'm getting at is that all of this happened in a specific spot. I mean, like, dude,
Right.
Tom, this all happened by like one tree, like one or two trees, dude. And so, like, in a specific spot at the trail, all of my experiences happened there. So I wanted to see if he would pick up on anything when we got past that area. So we're taking EMF readings periodically. Do you get what I'm saying? I didn't want to.
I got what you're doing, like a kind of a double blind type test. It's not a true double blind test, but you're trying to get like an observer who is unaware of the situation, but you're still trying to be safe with him. He knows about cryptids. He believes in cryptids. He's had an alien abduction, and he also told you about the thing. So it's not quite that bad, but he doesn't know about the specific area. So you want to see and kind of test it out for yourself. And him as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Call me a bad person, but I wanted to see if his spidey senses more or less would go off in this area, because that's where the wall of fear happened. That's where the tracks were at. That's where the smell started. That's where the girl's daughter got scared at. Right. So we get there or right around that area, and periodically we're testing EMF readings throughout the woods. Again, we tested in the beginning, got our baseline, my phone, power line. We get to this specific area and we test it, and he's not pointing it right at that area, but he's in the vicinity, like right near it. And dude, the reading there was higher than at my cell phone. The reading there was higher than at the power lines. The reading there was higher than when we put it right by the vehicle and started the car with the cell phone right next to it. I mean, we were trying to get it as high as we could. We were trying to get it to reach the same like reading that it got in that spot, right? Like near power lines, and we couldn't replicate it. Again, audience, I get it. It's a cell phone app. It's not a true reading, whatever. Don't kill me, but that still is circumstantial to me, in my mind, whatever. It was interesting.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the reading at that specific spot was like, dude, it was crazy high. And we both looked at each other, and I still never told him, but we both looked at each other, and he was like, how is this possible? Like, what's near here? And I was joking like, oh, maybe it's a portal, bro. But now, anyway, so my bad. I'm looking at my notes. I try to keep this in chronological order.
You're doing great, man. You're doing great.
So I went out there probably 3 or 4 more times just by myself with no intention in my heart to go look for these, right? I feel like that plays a big role if these are spiritual beings and the forest is alive. So like my intention coming into it is going to, in my mind, affect how my experience, whatever happens. So I go in there probably 2 more times. Nothing happens, but I do hear it get silent again. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. I take my dog there. Let's say the 3rd time I'm going by myself after him. I was going pretty frequently last year because I was like, what is up out here? Right?
So I take my dog out there. The dog that barked earlier. The dog that barked earlier.
Yeah. Those are 3 dogs that barked earlier, though.
Oh, okay.
Those are 3.
All right.
Yeah. Man, that'd be a massive dog if it was just one dog, dude.
I didn't know what was going on there. I was like, just like I love to give the listener, the viewer, some content, context. And I was like, that dog, and you were like, that's 3 dogs. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. The pit bull was probably the bassiest bark you heard there, but that's who I brought out with me into the woods. He's not really scared. I mean, he's not scared of much but cars, you know what I mean? Going fast past him. So I took him out. We were just on the intent to walking in the woods, have a little nature walk with my dog, hang out with him, right? When we got to that spot, dude, he stopped. His ears went up and his tail went out. And he started looking around. That's all that's all that happened, but I added that to the collection. Like, dude, this is weird. What is up in this specific spot? He acted like he didn't want to go past it. I had to almost coax him past it. Normally on the trail, he's running ahead of me and he's looking back ever so often, like, can I go further, Dad? Can I go further? And I'm like,
Right.
go on, man, keep running. But if we get too far, he'll stop and wait for me. But dude, this spot, he stopped and his tail went out, ears went up, and he was looking back at me with a very like you sure you want to go past
what's
here?
this? Like, what's this?
Yeah.
I used to I had a Rottweiler for years. They're very similar in their personalities, and he would do the same thing. If it's something you like, he would stop and look back at me like, "You see this over here? Is this okay?" You know what I mean? So yeah, I got you. I know exactly what you're saying.
Dude, they'll tell you if something's off. I mean, and then they're tapped into that electromagnetic field more than we are as humans, right?
Yeah, that sixth sense or whatever that is. Yeah.
Yeah, so then that happened, which was extremely strange. So the final and last experience, well, I have two more that happened out there, leading to the kind of the climax, more or less, that is just begging me, what is going on in this sect of woods? So again, I take my dog out there. I go out there maybe a month or so later, again on more of a nature hike, and it's again daytime. Tom, I never went back out at nighttime. I've never been back out at nighttime since that one time. I'm honestly, I hate to admit it, but I'm scared. I don't want to do it alone.
There's nothing wrong with
I really don't.
What are you talking about? Okay, go ahead and finish your story, then we'll get into some of the questions and stuff. Okay, but go ahead. Sure. It popped in my head, but I got it.
All right, remember your question, unless you got to ask it now.
No, okay. I was thinking. Sure. If I don't know what's going to happen later into the climax of the story, but maybe you should take out with you somebody more experienced, someone that you trust, someone that you build a rapport with, someone that you can go out there and they can tell you maybe what's going on, like someone really well versed in this. And Ohio, Kentucky, that's a little far away, but I'm sure there's somebody up there that you can run into or that you can contact that would go out with you. At least start in the daytime, and then you know what I mean, and then like kind of like step yourself up to maybe get over that fear. Because I think if you are experiencing this on a regular basis, that you've been quote unquote marked, or for some, you know what I mean. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, be cautious, be careful. Maybe go with somebody and go to one of their areas first with them. And go ahead and experience that a little bit and say, okay, dude, I got this place. I need you to tell me what's going on. Here's the picture. You tell them everything you told me. And then maybe to kind of get over it and kind of see what it is out there. And maybe you will be then the next researcher that we need to put forth more information about what the hell these phenomena are. I think that's maybe a way you could go about it. It's not a question, more of some kind of advice, I guess.
No, that's actually really interesting, and because of this, I didn't think directly on those lines, but I got tickets to the Paracon down in Lexington, November, big. So I don't know if it's like, how these conferences go. Sometimes they're like all ghosts, sometimes they're just UFOs. Hopefully this is a blend of everything, and I can find someone research-wise into this. Because I want to go back out in the fall when we get a little bit more visibility and see.
Yes.
I'm already thinking that, man. I would have gone back out.
Anybody listening to this who's an experienced, cryptid type investigator who knows a little bit more about this than Ross, go ahead and give him. It's either Ross or Ras. Contact him.
My name is Ross. On Facebook, it's RAS. So my name is Ross.
Ross. Okay, his name is Ross. Go ahead and contact him through Ras Javier and give him a contact and say, hey, look, that's a very interesting thing. I'd like to go out there with you. Definitely do not disclose where this is. That's very important. Only through back channeling and people that you can trust. And go ahead and give him a contact. I'll see if I can think of anyone. I don't know anybody in that particular area quite yet. If you're in Western Tennessee or Western North Carolina, I could help you out. Even Arizona, and I can't think of another place. Maybe even like Wisconsin, but I can't. That area, I don't know anybody quite yet. I'm starting to get I'm new at this, so I'm still working on it. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. Go there, kind of get your feet wet, and when you meet someone face to face, you kind of get a better reading of that person, whether you can trust them or not as well. Or somebody is, just some people are full of BS there's those charlatans
Yeah.
too. They're in the field. They're in it for the wrong reasons. So I think that's a good way of starting out there. So I would definitely do what you suggested.
Yeah, I got to do it face to face, man. I don't want to waste my time. And well, I'm not gonna say that, but that's why the Paracon like popped in my head. Let me find. But you're right though. Let me start reaching out to some Ohio groups out here. I'm in a few, and just see. That's a good idea, man. That's a really good idea.
Just be careful. I mean, you got family, you got all that. That just that's always number one in your head. That's number one.
Right.
God, if you're religious and Jesus and all that, you got all that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Fantastic. But always, I would definitely go armed, or less. But there's some people who say, that's because maybe you met a certain type of aggression because these things are kind of like they have that mind read as well, and they can tell that they know you're armed. So maybe
dude, I thought about that.
Counteractive, counterproductive.
Tom, I thought about that, man. Like perhaps some of what I've been experiencing is because so like let's hypothetically say I'm walking down the trail and wow, I can't even go there. But I was gonna say a dog man jumped in front of my face. I can't even envision what that would be like. I haven't seen one. I wouldn't shoot. I don't think I would. Maybe in the air to try to buy me a time to run. Shooting at it for what? So I think that if they can't see this in the mind's eye, whatever, that's not in my heart. But I've still wondered if even the act of just having it with me, because I've heard. Shout out Lead Tracker E, man, and Jerry Williams. If y'all aren't hip, they do a lot of great work on Bigfoot. And like they've got that native eye, man, that ojo that Josh talks about, bro. Jerry Williams and Lead Tracker E, they've filled my brain with a lot of knowledge about the way that Bigfoot. They have their great channel, Jerry Williams, Lead Tracker E, man. They've got a lot of knowledge,
Shout out to the channel.
They've discussed that with going out into the woods armed versus unarmed, and how even with intent, I don't know.
The experiences vary. That's what they're trying to say. The experiences vary. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay.
So at final encounter, after me going out there with my dog and the tracks and all this other stuff, and this was actually this year. So this story begins in about March of 2023, and it concludes in this year of probably about March or April.
Okay.
I haven't gone back out since. I haven't gone back out since the spring. Yep. And again, after the EMF reading, and me and him went out there, and in between that, I mean the dog thing happening, dude, I was only going out there to like meditate in the woods, like play my instrument in the woods, like hike, that kind of thing. Like I made it a point not to have my intentions on like I'm gonna look for a cryptid, right? So I didn't like I did previously.
I love your expression of your inner voice. It's hilarious. I have one of those too.
I gotta narrate it, man. Keep it interesting, right?
It's so funny.
So the final time, and this is this year, I'm out there, and again, no plans on looking for anything. I was off trail this time, though. I always have stayed on trail the previous times. With where this country is going, it's probably good to have stuff put up in different locations, right? So I was out there on that.
Why do you think I'm down here in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, my friend?
Bro, yo hablo español. I want to move down there so bad. I'm like, sí. Durante el trabajo hoy tenía que cambiar lenguajes con mi trabajador because he didn't know English. Or he didn't know English. So I had to translate.
He has to translate for his coworker.
Yeah, man. I do construction, so all the time I'm translating and having conversations.
Do the same thing here. Whenever there's a new expat that comes down here and who needs like help, they come. I did it the other day. I had to help them like buy a car. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's fun.
Hell yeah.
It's hard, dude.
Cool, dude. Yeah, it's cool.
So you're going out. Yeah, dude. So you're going off trail because there's possibly areas out there in which you just like to visit once in a while. I got you.
Exactly. So, but I say that to say, right? I'm preparing, right? I disrupted the earth. So I don't know if this played a role in it. I don't know.
That's
Ohio's got a
interesting.
lot of native, huh?
That's interesting that you disrupted the
I
earth.
thought
Okay,
about
that's
that
interesting.
after, but I don't know if that played anything. But I mean, you hear about that disrupting the earth, taking soil. I didn't take any soil or anything, but I dug and disrupted the earth.
Is there any
So
flowing water? Is there any flowing water in this area?
yeah, right,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
dude, yeah, yes.
Okay.
There's
All right.
a little creek running. So where I'm talking about all these experiences, you have to almost be on. You have to walk up a ravine, and then they've made a trail. But on this side, there's nothing but water down below running. Which,
Okay.
so again, not saying missing 411, but we know that a lot of times there's water involved. So anyway,
It's like 95% of the time, yes.
it, exactly. So I'm out there. I'm off trail. Not that far off trail, dude. I'm like only 25 yards off trail, and I'm sitting there digging, whatever, humming to myself, singing, and I hear something on two legs. It was probably 10, 15 yards away from me. Run out. So it was. If I'm here, this thing was completely parallel to me, 10 or 15 yards this way. It ran
Okay.
straight towards the trail. And in the process, dude, I heard, so I do HVAC. So like we run ductwork
Okay.
all
Air
day.
conditioning. Okay. Air
Yeah,
conditioning. Mm-hmm.
this would have been like 8 inch, it would have been like an 8 inch tree. Sounded like it snapped in half. Like an 8 inch tree, which is pretty thick, dude. That's pretty solid,
Yeah.
bro.
That's a big tree.
I hear something on two legs charge out, paralleling me, right? So I'm here doing what I'm doing, and it runs out, and it sounded like two 8 inch at least trees snapped. Instantly, dude, I jumped up and I looked over to my right where it was coming from. I see nothing. I mean, I see nothing, dude. I ran up to the trail like, dude, something's running away from me. I'm gonna finally see a cryptid. Is what I was really thinking. Is I'm gonna finally see a cryptid, right? There's
Okay.
nothing on the trail. But I know I heard 8 inch, dude. Like I'm talking like loud snaps of trees, dude. Like,
Did you go
and I
back and
could
look?
also,
Did you go back and look? Did you go back and look to see if you could find the trees, or you were just it was too much for you to get?
yeah,
You just got the hell out of.
no. I looked for the
Okay.
trees where it. So it was like lateral me and it ran forward. So I looked where it would have ran forward at, and I couldn't see. And there wasn't even anything moving. Nothing was even like moving, like something had just ran past it. But I could feel the ground shaking. I could feel the
Oh my
ground
god,
shaking,
dude.
bro. Yes, I could feel the ground shaking, and that's what made me initially jump up. And then I heard the rustle of the leaves, two footprints, or two, like something on two legs running, and then trees, two trees snapped. I mean, these were huge trees. Nothing was there. Nothing was there, bro. Now, I was sober. I was completely sober. I'm completely sober. Nothing was there. Nothing was there. So I'm like, yo, that's weird. Let me go visit. So I've got this tree. I call it my tree because it's kind of just like called out to me, right? It's really neat how it's grown. The roots are like, so I sit there and I meditate at that tree a lot. Like I said, I don't always go in there to look for stuff. I just go in there to hang out sometimes and just get some peace of mind, listen to
Yeah, I'm with you,
the
man. I do the same
yeah,
thing.
listen to that creek babble and meditate to that sound, And so I heard that and I'm like, this is so weird. Let me go meditate and I'm out of here. Like, let me go meditate real quick and leave. I sit there, I begin to meditate, and as soon as I close my eyes and kind of like maybe 3-4 minutes, I don't know, as soon as my body starts to get in that really relaxed state, you're kind of just
Yes.
flowing at that point. I hear it again, except it's across the water. So again, like I said, we're up. Where I'm walking, this trail where I'm at is up. The water's down here, and there's another trail across the water. And so I hear it again, the same size trees snapping, two of them, and I hear footsteps. Like I feel it on the ground rumbling, not as much as before because I'm not ground level, it's across the way. But like you can feel something had ran and charged and snapped some trees. I jumped up instantly, broke my meditation. I'm looking across the water, looking down at where this
Right.
sound came from, and
you
there's
still
nothing.
see nothing.
Nothing. I mean, not even a leaf moving. So, shout out
That
Abe
is
Sears.
that's interesting.
Abe
I mean,
talked.
my first thought. I mean, I'm not no expert in the slightest, but my first thought is a dog man, because it's been known that these things, whatever they are, can quote unquote cloak. You know what I'm saying? And like they only are seen if they want to be seen, for the most part.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because my friend was
Yeah.
telling me that too. My buddy Harley, like I said, he's in the Smoky Mountains. He was out turkey hunting, and this is going to be in the future. This will be released in September sometime, I think. And he was just turkey hunting, and they're walking through the woods with his father-in-law, I think it was. And he says he kept hearing something behind him on this creek bed, and he goes, his father-in-law goes, I'm hearing something following us. He goes, yeah, it's been following us for 20 minutes. He goes, what do you mean?
Yep.
He goes, trust me. So he took his camera, spun around, and took 3 quick photos, and he took a picture of this thing, dude. I'll send it to you. I'll send you this picture. It will put the fear of God in you, dude. I've never seen nothing like that before. And it's not pareidolia, dude. He
99% of the
captures
time it's not pareidolia. It's 99% of the time it's not, man.
Yeah.
People want to not believe because it's uncomfortable.
Bigfoot Reports and Data. Go check him out. That's Harley Owens' channel, man. Go check him out. He does a lot of. He's new into this. Like when he contacted me, he seen a Bigfoot. He's got an awesome picture, tracks, sounds, a video of the tracks coming out of the creek bed, and he wouldn't go in the woods for 3 years until one day he's like, you know what, I'm going in the woods, and he went hunting, and he was successful and all that. But now he's going back into the woods. So my point to you is that I think you should do it. I'm saying to be ultra cautious. Make sure you cross your I's and dot your T's and all that good stuff. But it's like a calling that's coming to you. There's some particular reason that this is happening to you.
I'm not scared to go back in by myself. It's just not smart. And I have a wife and a stepdaughter, and I need to be smart. I'm not scared to go back. But okay, and so wrapping all this into a pretty little bow for the audience and everyone out there in YouTube land or whoever's consuming this, right? I think there's a portal there. I think that this specific area where this tree is at, where my dog sent something, where I saw the tracks, where but again, I can't prove it. This is just something I think. Why would we get a high EMF reading by this spot? Why did I see tracks? And I have to say, it's
like a treasure map that doesn't show you X marks the spot, but there's a bunch of arrows pointing in a specific direction. So you're trying to like put this puzzle together.
Yeah.
Right. I got you, man. Yeah, this is fantastic, dude. And you don't go out there no more because
you said I don't what?
You told me that you haven't been out there since March, and why haven't you? Because you've been busy working, or it's just like too much for you? What's the reason?
When that thing charged out and I heard it and it was invisible, I'm not really scared, but bro, I believe that. Okay, this is going to be a long answer for you, right? And sorry for the long-winded response.
Don't worry about it.
This is a state park. People go missing in our state park. We don't know why. We can speculate and spitball all day why. I believe it's a combination of creatures grabbing them, obviously people being stupid and slipping, or not even stupid, but slipping in natural stuff, right? I slipped and fell and no one found me. But the stranger cases where it's like, we walked past this area 50 times and then the next day we found you in the same area. And then the person's like, I was calling out your name and you couldn't hear me calling you, but I could see you guys. I don't want to end up stuck in. Have you heard any of those missing 411 cases?
I've heard one. I can't remember which one it was in particular or where it was. There was one where they were calling the person's name. The person was responding, and then the next day but they couldn't find him. And then they would call again, and the person would respond, but it would be farther away. And it kept happening until they couldn't hear him anymore. Some
Really?
crazy shit.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember
Dude,
which particular case it was. Someone brought it up on the podcast. I haven't really looked into it. David Colitis, I think his name is. I haven't really looked into it,
yeah.
but I've been getting referred to it a lot. I guess maybe I should actually do some research myself. But busy man, you know.
No, I get it. I get it. And it's same here, man. It's been about a year. I don't remember the specific case, but I want to say it was a little boy. And I want to say that the detectives did one of those, like, we all hold hands and walk forward 60 deep in a row so we don't miss anything. It's called like a grid pattern search. And he was like calling out to them from like a bush that they had checked. And then the next day they found him at the bush, and he was like, I saw you guys. I called out to you guys. I even tried to touch you guys, but you couldn't hear me. And they're like, but we checked this area. It was so in my mind, if this is all to be believed, right? If we're going to say this is real and this is all to be believed, you can end up in another realm
Right,
easily
something
in
like
a
that.
state park.
To use a really
And
colloquial term, like the upside down or some shit like this.
yes, I was gonna say it's almost like the upside down world of Stranger Things, which I
Right,
do
right.
believe is it's got to be. Well, I'm not gonna say it's got to be real, but I believe it is. I believe it's a soft disclosure kind of a thing. Stranger Things. I think it's really a soft disclosure kind of a thing
Yeah,
in a
I'm
lot
with
of
you,
ways.
man.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So I'm
Check out
not
the
scared to
episode
go
Friday,
back.
dude. Check out the
Huh?
episode this Friday coming up. This Friday coming up. You know, in 2 days, I got a dude
Word.
coming on who was in Project Montauk, and the stuff he tells me, the stuff he
What?
contacted me, and I'm going to have him on a live on the 7th, and then I've recorded actually 2 episodes with him already, and he's saying
What?
I am a Stranger Things kid. I'm one of the original Project Montauk kids. And the stuff he tells me, dude, I have never heard before. So get ready for that one, dude.
Oh, dude, man, notification set, dude. It's done. I got to hear that.
That's wild,
That's
bro.
wild.
It's
That's
wild.
wild. That's really wild.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go
So
back soon
okay.
to these woods. I guess by myself, but or
No,
maybe with my
somebody
dog
with you.
again.
No, at least your
I
dog, but I would take somebody, even if it's your friend, and tell him in advance. Be honest with him. Tell him in advance. This is what I want to do. This is what I've seen. This is what happened. I just want to go back. I'm just interested in to see, or find somebody who would go with you. I
yeah.
will go ahead and see if I can check any of my back channels and see if I can have someone. I don't know. I can say, do you know anybody in this area? And then go and then maybe talk to this person myself, and then have them contact you somehow. And then that way, when you go back, you feel there's always, you know, I mean, when you're on a construction site, if you have like a foreman who's done it before, you don't feel as nervous as when you have to do everything yourself and measure it all out and do all your
Exactly.
cuts and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would
Yeah. It's
go.
interesting, and I wanted to say one last thing is that
Yeah.
I told my buddy who had the story, the alien abduction story, told me about the legend, all that. He drives down this road periodically in the middle of the night. Never seen anything jump out at him. It's a really creepy road, though, honestly. But I told him, I'm like, man, you know, I'm going on a podcast. You have to check it out whenever it airs, about my experiences at XYZ State Park. He's like, make sure you tell them about my experience with that invisible thing running behind my car. And I was like,
Okay. All
I
right.
forgot about that. So he almost heard the same. He says he heard the same thing, as in something invisible, footsteps pacing in behind his car. We were supposed to go out there one night at nighttime, like 11 o'clock at night. I was supposed to meet him out there. Didn't end up going. The old lady was like, I don't know what you think you're trying to do, but hunting Bigfoot at 11 sounds weird. You're, you know. So
The old lady.
I didn't end up going,
Okay.
which I can understand. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. Like, who is
She's
this
not wrong.
dude you're hunting Bigfoot with at 11 at night, bro? Like, come on, make that
Right.
make sense. But I called him to tell him, like, yo, I'm not going to be able to make it. Sorry to have you waiting. He was there for like 20 minutes. He's like, it's okay. He sounded frantic. It's okay. I'm leaving anyway. Something invisible just ran around my car. I said, what do you do? What are you talking about? I said, 2 legs, 4 legs, what? A raccoon, a woodchuck ran around your car? Or what, dude? What are you talking about? He's like, no, something on 2 legs ran around my car. And I thought I was just hearing things at first, but I couldn't see it. And I'm like, well, it's dark. He's like, no, I couldn't see it, dude. Like, I could see behind my car, but I couldn't see
what it was.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully
Yeah,
someone comes out the wood.
Well, then this is okay. Since you come on the podcast, you have to do me a favor. You just have to keep me informed about what's going on out there when you go back.
I will. Definitely.
All right, man. Okay. So, dude, thanks so much for coming on. If you guys want to go to his channel, go over there and check out his music. And keep in touch with this story. Maybe he can drop some new ideas over on his thing. Maybe eventually create a new page.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tom.
No worries, man. You're frozen. Just do me a favor, stick around the green room so I can check the recordings, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, buddy.
Sorry, there we go.
I'll be right back with you. All right? All right. So that was Ross. He's some state park in around Dayton, Ohio. We're not going to disclose where this is, which I understand because then you'll have everybody up there. And so very interesting. Very interesting. Like I was telling you, it's like if all arrows are pointing towards something, then this most likely is something. And once again, Ross, be careful if you're going to go do that. And if you guys want to be careful and go over and hit that like and subscribe button, I appreciate that very much. And thank you all for watching the Jupiter podcast. This is the Eye. We are the Eye, and we are aware. Love you all very much. Thank you.